Does it ever get to you that we will never have the same opportunity those before us did? Apparently the biggest cut-off was the pre-2022 homeowners, but even further back than that the opportunities were better than anything we have or will ever have. I've told stories on here if literal bag boys I knew in HS that bought a house in 2010 that are now over $500,000 and of course could not be afforded by 4 people working that job now. Or moving to a small mountain town and buying tens of acres and a home for a few $100K that are now worth millions. It's crazy that to even own a home seems insurmountable at times, whereas others are permanently part of the upper class now. Hindsight is 20/20, but there's also going to be changes in the future that nobody will see. If there's anything I've noticed, it's that once the hot new it place gets expensive, another one pops up and the cycle begins again. No. I don't waste time worrying about shit I can't change. Do you constantly bemoan other things in life that are similar, such as your bad luck of not being born with a silver spoon in your mouth the way some people get lucky too? If so, that's a sad life to waste constantly in lament that your personal situation isn't as good as it could have been. Focus more on making your situation better how you're able and be happy with it. The end. Maybe I'm a naive optimist, but I'm actually excited for the future. The boomers got a much better economy than us, but they were largely an anomaly of the post-World War era. All the generations before them lived in far worse conditions between the wars, economic depressions, pandemics, and horrendous working conditions that make today's issues look tame by comparison. It sucks that we do not have the same opportunities as the boomers, but we still have some of the best opportunities in human history. I was one of the people that moved from California to North Carolina when interest rates were low, and TBH what I learned from it was that society is just a gross, ugly, angry mess right now for both homeowners and renters. I sold the house and I plan on moving back west. I can't explain it, but you should just focus on eating healthy and surviving right now. Every fucking day. I finally landed a good paying job last year and I am pretty sad that I still haven't been able to buy a house. What makes it even worse is that I applied to the same company right after graduation in 2020 and they passed on me after 8 rounds of interviews. So, I moved away for a much lower paying job in a cheap city. Had I landed the job back in 2020, I would have a house right now. I have a good friend that did get the job in 2020, he has a very nice house now. I was just so close. What isn't being talked about is that anyone that owned a home prior to 2021, and anyone who then also refinanced at 2-something, will have literal hundreds of thousands of dollars, perhaps even millions in haul, that any young people or people renting will never see. In effect, this housing boom and interest rate hike created a gigantic financial disparity between a generation of people that will last the rest of our lifetimes. This isn't just a real estate issue, this has major economic implications. During the housing crisis, the value of homes plummeted and people said that they would never recover. Rent forever, they said. It's cyclical and we may be at a new norm, though things seem poised to pull back a bit. Try to get into anything reasonable at this point. Until builders can keep up with demand, the market will remain strong, and if you are in a home you can benefit from rising tide raises all ships. Otherwise, get into index funds and try to outpace housing. Your question only applies if you believe in FOMO and think price discovery has been completely neutered by monetary policy. Fuck yeah, eats me the fuck up. Here is where you messed up though. Permanently is not accurate. One day somehow this economy will come crashing down again. Could be next year, could be 10 years or 50 years, but it will happen at some time. Yeah, it's put me in a state of despair. I haven't ever fucked up in my life like some of my peers. I went to school, got great grades, got a bachelor's, never been fired, never had debt, set up a retirement account at 20, never got hooked on drugs, never developed an addiction, never had massive health issues, and all of this just to have a mediocre paying job and relegated to be a permanent renter. Oftentimes, I wonder where the fuck it all went wrong. I can't afford to live in my hometown anymore. I don't know anymore. Every single day. I'm so depressed. I got divorced right before the pandemic. I was unexpectedly dumped into this market. I feel so helpless. I wish I knew home affordability had an expiration date. I'm 47 and don't have a long horizon ahead of me. It feels so cruel. I'm going the dink route. Marry a woman who makes good money like me and invest until I get the cabbage for a 20 deposit on something not run down in the hood. Until then it's shove out rent and try not to be envious. Nothing else we can do besides try our best. We get dealt a shitty hand and nobody is going to save us. You'll always miss out on something that came before, and people from before will always miss out on what happens later. Just understand that it will happen, that life can be unfair, and that you just need to keep going through life as best you can. Getting upset and dwelling on past things you can't change won't help anything. We have vastly more opportunities than they did. You even stated that you knew guys in HS who have made moves already. Why haven't you? And there's a big difference in being upper class compared to being house rich cash poor. You have way more opportunity than most humans in all of history and most humans on the globe as we speak right now. But you can't stand but be focused on a couple people who you feel got more than you and got lucky and so you're big mad. You're ahead of so many people but you don't care. You can't stand the few ahead of you. Sigh. Social media people. No more than I think about not being born with the tech of 100 years from now, or envy others born in better circumstances than me. I play the hand I have, and it's not a bad hand, better than most throughout history so far. Though I don't think you're right though. I think there will be a crash, rates will plummet, and there will be another opportunity to buy real estate at a reasonable price if we wish. I've accepted I always get the short end of the stick. From housing to relationships. Sucks. It's becoming like the rest of the world, generational family houses, just Americans aren't ready to live like the rest of the world, gonna be a bumpy road to globalization. Yup. I just went for a lovely walk through Mill Creek, Utah, a nice suburb of SLC, and commented on how I couldn't afford any of the starter homes that are 2-1s or 3-1s. I probably make more what many of the long-standing homeowners make but cannot justify a $3,500 month mortgage when I only make $100K a year. We're all so fucked. Told my girlfriend that I wish I was an unskilled boomer. Would have loved a simpler, easier existence. 2010 was wild. Buying a house with no competition and getting 1025 off the list price. I don't see that ever happening in my lifetime. Technology removes all barriers to buffering. IIT'll also make you live longer if you don't mind spending your life in specialist waiting rooms every week and popping some new pill every month. 1966, 1982 compared to 2001, 2023 is laughable. 9/11 devastated the economy, 2008 should have a Great Depression and 2020 worldwide pandemic versus 1966, 1982? Insane comparison. Every generation had advantages. Millennials and Gens have smartphones, actual world-class healthcare options, and likely a lifetime low unemployment rate in a country with more boomers retiring each year. We'll get our nice houses one day and get the benefit of living with the greatest amenities for a generation to be born with. Hold your horses, it's coming. The last time homes were this unaffordable was '06. Prices have not dropped due the lack of inventory and is just slow. It took 4 years after '08 to hit the bottom. 2008 could happen again. Everyone in 2007 thought they had it made. 10 years from now people will be repeating the same thing. Man wish bought a house 10 years ago in 2023 when they were cheap. It's never-ending cycle. There are plenty of places to buy a 2-3BR house for under $100K but they don't have a Starbucks yet. Like Detroit, Syracuse, New York. But guess who's still going to be kicking cans when those become the new places to buy?